This is going to be your guide to using Zeraora in Pokemon UNITE. So the first thing we do is we talk about the battle items on a Pokemon, where I feel eject button in general is overrated, but has some viability on the Zeraora, because if you overcommit to a fight, you can just eject button out. And for the most part, Zeraora is going to play as a jungle, so if you can leave a bad fight or like get a kill and peace out really quick and not give up comeback experience, that's going to have its own value. But personally, I like the full heal. There's just so much crowd control inside of Pokemon Unite, and Zeraora wants to get in, it wants to stay in, and it wants to wreck people. If you try to go in off of like your Sparks or something, and then Blastoise just pushes you away, that could be a really bad time. Or if you just land on a Wigglytuff or end up hitting Wigglytuff and then you get pulled around the fight, that's also not really that great. And Zeraora, one of the biggest things is proccing your passive to get a heal off your auto attacks, and if you're stuck and not auto attacking, you're not healing, so you're just going to be even squishier without the full heal. Not a great time. And then we have X Attack versus Fluffy Tail on the Zeraora, and I feel like X Attack is going to be the way to go because you don't have Giga Burst damage on the Zeraora against objectives. Like, yeah, you discharge into a team fight and you completely evaporate people, but it's not like you have a Hex or like a charged Hex onto Dreadnought that gets uncounterable damage with the Fluffy Tail. Also, Fluffy Tail just gives you bonus attack against a jungle camp, so the X Attack, you're getting some of that back. You can use it for Dreadnought, for Zapdos Secures, or you use it to be unstoppable inside of a team fight. You just run in, take a little bit of damage, proc the X Attack, go for the discharge, use your Unite move, spark people, get auto attack healing, another discharge, and yep, that's just too much damage. There's nothing that they can do about it. As for X speed, I don't really consider it viable because it doesn't give you enough base speed to do anything with, and you almost get as much effective mobility with the full heal. If you're not standing still, you're going to be moving in and just collapsing and KOing people, so full heal just kind of gives you the mobility you're looking for if you were considering something like the extreme speed, and you get 3 dash charges on the Spark, so eject button also doesn't really feel that necessary unless you burn them all going in every time, which kind of needs to happen because you don't have a long time to use all of your Spark charges, and Goal Getter is just a troll item. Nothing else really makes sense on the Zeraora. So now let's talk about the build. Razor Claw is a completely busted item, and it gives Zeraora everything it wants. Critical hit, flat attack, bonus damage on auto attacks that scales with attack, and a slow when you proc the Razor Claw passive as a melee Pokemon. So you get to stick on them, they can't escape, you have a lot of ability uses, and they're just going to stay in there and get obliterated. And that brings us to the 2 different schools of thought that have emerged immediately after the mobile release. Because before the mobile release, it was always Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, and then whatever else you wanted. But now, Razor Claw is so strong, it can actually beat out the Focus Band in some situations, but you do want to run Focus Band. It has synergy with the Buddy Barrier by giving you more health that it can then restore when you're low. Also, like using a Unite move when you're low, getting that health back while you're shielded from the Unite move, it just means you're unkillable. And while Focus Band is up, you have insane amounts of effective stats, but it's not foolproof. It has a 90-second cooldown. If you have a bad-ish gank and then it gets burnt on cooldown, you might not have it for Dreadnought fight, might not have it for the next gank, so then you're just going to be power negative. But while you have it, that could just be what makes you win the 3v3, a 3v2, a 2v3. So Zeraora and one other Pokemon against 3 Pokemon. Zeraora is so busted, you can win that when Focus Band is up. So that could just be what gets you so far ahead, no other stats matter. Or the other idea now is just damage. Like, Buddy Bear is still a 100% pick. Giving stats to a Pokemon that's going in with its Unite move like this, too much. Also, the 40% shield for a Dive Buddy, really good. And then if they so if Zeraora uses its Unite move with a friend inside a team fight, that's a 2v5. There's nothing they can't do at that point. But then we have Scope Lens, which leads to really disgusting amounts of damage and benefit inside of ganks. 6% more critical hit rate is going to be amazing for Zeraora. Just flat 8% crit. You're going to be getting enough autos to where that's going to be a thing that happens during a gank or some kind of fight, and you get bonus damage on top of that. It has the weird attack scaling. Scope Lens still kind of an obscure item in that way. Just know that you crit and it hurts them, and it's going to be really good stuff for the Pokemon's getting the crits. Also, Zeraora is a crit scaling Pokemon. At level 5, it gains 5% crit rate. At level 9, it gains 10%. And as the jungle, you're pretty much going to be ganking at level 5. So coming into the game with 13, or pretty much coming into the game, showing up at Vespiquen, announcing yourself with 13% crit is how you just destroy opponents. Now, I honestly can't say which is the quote-unquote better moveset, but if you plan on being a Zeraora main, this is not a bad way of spending your 3 super item enhancers. Please, for the love of God, I hope you did not upgrade your focus band to level 30. There's just no value there. You only get plus 10 defense, plus 10 special defense, compared to plus 200 from the Buddy Bearer, or crit chance and base attack and stuff like that. Focus band, it's pretty much maxed out at level 20. Level 20 is really easy to get as you're just getting level ups and missions and event incentives and stuff. So yeah, you can have this and a level 20 focus band. That's not even going to work on just Zeraora. You can pretty much run that on most Pokemon, and then Buddy Bearer focus band works on every Pokemon. So you have a lot of options even if you upgrade it like this. Yeah, let's go and talk about Zeraora. So we have the basic attack passive, becomes a boosted attack with every third attack, dealing increased damage when it hits, also paralyzes the opposing Pokemon and restores the user's hit points. According to Unite DB, it says it restores 10% of Zeraora's missing hit points, so it's not like Garchomp. Garchomp just gets lifesteal when it gets its healing proc off its passive, and if you crit on the Garchomp auto, you're healing more. So it looks like a crit isn't going to do anything for your third proc ability, but either way, still tons and tons of damage. That also brings us to the passive, and I think proper passive play is what really breaks Zeraora. And sometimes you don't even have to do it sometimes you don't even have to do it intentionally. The more damage you take, the more you convert into additional attack, and you can gain up to 200 attack by converting 8% of the damage you take in the last 4 seconds. So what you want to do is you want to go in and then get bursted just a little bit before using your abilities, and then that's just going to be the most you can get out of it. Also, as Zeraora is sitting in the fight waiting for its cooldowns to come back up, when its abilities come back, yeah, it's taking a ton of damage, so its passive is probably maxed out anyways, and then you just keep on going in and doing ridiculous things to the opponents. And now we can talk about the moveset options on Zeraora, where agility is worth talking about, even though it's a starting ability. So after you dash, you gain attack speed for a little bit of time, and you want to utilize that inside of ganks, even inside of lane fighting, because Zeraora, I consider a very strong laner. After that, we have Volt Switch versus Spark. I think Volt Switch is cool, and it's cute, and there's some fun things you can do with it. Also, apparently, if you Volt Switch, recall immediately, you can land on pad, get some health back from, going to base, and then immediately pressing Volt Switch will put you back into lane. So it's like using an Echo ultimate when trying to recall from lane or something, but it's on an 8-second cooldown. So instead of having to recall, walk all the way back, you can immediately get back into the fight with most of your health. Now, you have to be perfect with this, and it comes down to fractions of a second, but it's definitely possible. However, even with that cheese, I don't think it's better than the Spark, because 3 dashes on a brawling Pokemon, on a melee bruiser, it's weird, because I feel like Pokemon Unite, this little stat thing on the right definitely lies. Zeraora feels way tankier than a 1.5 star endurance, especially because of the discharge, but also the healing. It just doesn't feel like you can blow it up like you should for a Pokemon that does as much damage. And then 3.5 stars for the offense? No, it's 5 stars. Pikachu is given 4.5? No. Zeraora is one of, if not the highest damaging Pokemon in the game, especially with that Bulbasaur, and it's AoE burst as well. It's not just like it removes a single target like an assassin, it assassinates entire teams. Fast. It's absurd. So having the mobility inside of that and doing the basic attack shenanigans, which we will show in the practice tool, it's just always do that. It covers more ground, it does more damage, it gives you better setups, and then it lets you have a couple of extra options inside of the fight. That also brings us to Discharge, Wild Charge. Discharge is just the best move in the game, so use that 100% of the time. Wild Charge, even though it just got buffed and it has synergy with Charge into Wild Charge, giving you more stacks, it just hits different, and not in a good way. I guess it can be viable, but I don't know what team composition you look at for the opponent and go, I'm going Wild Charge this game. Discharge always works. It works in a 1v1, it works in a 1v2, it works in a 1v5. And then that's where we get into the Unite move. And that's also why things are weird, because like I said, you want to take some damage to start charging your passive, so that way you're getting the most effectiveness out of your ability rotations, but also you want to use your abilities kind of as soon as possible so they can come off of cooldown faster. Like Discharge, that's a long wait. That is one of the longest cooldown abilities in the game, but it also makes sense because it is one of the best abilities in the game. So if you like Spark in, lead with the Discharge, and then use your Unite move, well, now you're just unstoppable. You're clearing out people, you're taking out entire teams, you have the shield from the Unite move, you have the shield from the Buddy Bear, you have the shield from the Discharge, you're getting healing back inside of it, so then you come out of that and you're like at full health. Maybe you probably killed 1 or 2 people by that point, so now it's a 1v3 or 2v3 or whatever, and then you get a couple of extra attacks, charges back up. So charge, when you get it, or not charge, I keep calling charge Spark. So then when you get into that, you upgrade it, and then you heal when you're performing basic attacks. So you do the Spark, auto attack, shenanigans, you're healing even more, you're untargetable, you're more unkillable, and then your discharge is back up. So immediately using Discharge does give you the opportunity of getting 2 Discharge rotations, but at the same time, it could just be better to wait a little bit, make sure you get your passive fully stacked, use that Discharge, and then the damage just KOs everyone to where you don't need to use it a second time, or the shield is so fat that you survive anyways. And I think that's going to be the main breakdown for Zeraora. You want to go Spark Discharge in pretty much every situation, and if you only use that, there's no problems because it's so strong, and Zeraora is just like the best character in the game right now, so you can get away with it. And then you have all this other crit and fun stuff and attack scaling, and Zeraora just gets to be nuts. So let's go into the practice tool, and let's talk about jungling and just overall ability shenanigans. So, Zeraora Jungle takes a lot of basic jungle theory and puts it to the test. So if you're a good jungler, you're just going to be good on the Zeraora. What you want to do is you want to start with Slash. That gets you on to the Lillipup. If you ever waste Flash to go over the wall, no matter who you're playing, you're trolling, don't do it. It just isn't worth it. And then, as you can see, we're just ahead of the timing, so you can use that. Slash is going to get that knock up, it's going to cancel the thing. Don't accidentally agility through the wall like that, or like, I didn't do it, but don't like get too close to where that happens. You can use attack here if you're planning on a full clear, but leaving that for the second gank is a really good idea. So yeah, then you just kind of do this, and you get clear, and then it's really fast and really crazy on the Zeraora. And this is where the jungling forks, and it comes down to like game by game decisions. You can do a 3 Corphish clear on the Zeraora, so let's do that because you don't get anything at level 5. You know, there's a lot of junglers that are very dependent on level 5. Zeraora is not. So depending on like where the enemy Pokemon is, that's when you proc your X attack, that's when you go in, that's when you get your attack speed boost, and then that's when you just kind of go and pop off, and an early game crit will just decide the game. So things just kind of got hectic, and we don't have like an actual 5v5 going on. So let me explain the difference between the 3 Corphish level 4 gank and the 4 Corphish level 5 gank. For this, you just kind of want to be paying attention. Like, as you're taking this Corphish, if the enemy team is bad, like they have score shield and they're trying to cheese score, or if your allies are already getting pushed in on this side lane, just go in. Just show up, say hi, and be aware that what this means is that the enemy jungle is going to be coming down into this lane at level 5 most likely. So don't overcommit, but try to get a quick little cheeky score, or you can just camp. You know, just hang around, wait for Vespiquen. The amount of experience you naturally get is just going to put you around level 5 for the Vespiquen, and then it's going to be 3v3 Vespiquen fight in a lane. Things get pretty complicated like that, but you're Zeraora. You're one of the best Pokemon in the game. You may or may not have X attack. You have all of your abilities going on. You also have AoE auto attacks, which makes it really nice for securing Vespiquen. Boom, big procs, potential crits and stuff like that. And it depends on where the enemy Pokemon are, how things are going to be breaking down like that. So yeah, just kind of like hang around, see what's going on. And if they try to go into Vespiquen, you just lead with the Slash, and then you follow up, and then you try to KO them. Don't overcommit too much too early. Sometimes you get away with it, but just know the opposing Pokemon. If they have a Chansey or a Blissey, you're not going to be able to KO them under goal. Same thing with pretty much any support, but if they have like a Bulbasaur Froakie lane, no real tanks, then you go for it. Then you can actually get the kills in the 3v2. Depends on like how you convert. Like the jungle is a very dynamic role, so it can make things kind of awkward. Alright, so now let's talk about the 4 Corphish level 5 gank. So you do your thing, you do this, boom. You're so far ahead of the timer, it's insane. But you might just want to hang back, you know, don't accidentally give yourself away as you're showing up to lane, because vision in this game is kind of weird. And then you just kind of like want to wait. And you want to wait for Vespiquen, you want to wait for an overextend. You might even want to like start posturing, like, okay, set up a really nasty angle on the agility, get the slow from the Razor Claw. Just start your gank now, just start getting all of that pressure, all that damage, slash knock up, shenanigans like that. that, and then you're here. And depending on like what the enemy jungle is doing, because like I said, if you're doing a level 5, like if you're both going for level 5, one jungler's ending up top, one jungler's ending up bottom, so it's going to be a 2v3. That Vespiquen is going to be uncontested, and if you get KOs inside of that, it just makes the game even crazier. Now, if you get it, like, again, same thing. Don't overcommit. Don't try to overscore. This is where Flash does have its advantages, because if you're, like, trying to KO someone on the goal, what you can do is, like, flash behind them, steal one Citrus Berry, agility, steal the other Citrus Berry. Got some benefit there, and then you can, like, slash them back onto their goal, knock them up. They're not getting healing. They're not getting any safety. They're just going to get KO'd. Alright, so now let's rewind time a little bit and get into advanced jungle theory. So let's say you show up on the Zeraora, you get a KO, you secure the Vespiquen. Maybe you have a time to score, like, maybe you have just enough time to score really quickly, because the game starts getting really fast, and you need to be really on your timings after that. So yeah, Vespiquen things happen. You know, it takes time to get Vespiquen even with your team, but AoE autos are going to speed that up. Maybe get a KO, maybe you kind of like leave some of that experience for your allies, but then you want to be backing immediately in some situations, so that way you can be there for the blue spawn. And if you do it right, then there's going to be enough time left to where you can pick up blue right before Dreadnought spawn, so you get 2.5 clears by 7 minutes, and that's going to give you crazy amounts of experience. And yeah, so yeah, you actually, yeah, you want this, so that way you're still getting the experience from red. And now you're back on the map already, and you're going to have your level 6. You're going to be up on those timings really well. This was like without some KO. So if like you get a KO, you get Vespiquen, you make like a super quick score, you're going to be level 7. And even though like level 6 is when you get a move and level 7 doesn't really do anything, like just more stats on the Zeraora is nasty. So now you got 30-40 seconds to run around and be a menace. Maybe clear up any core fish that weren't taken. Core fish is where things get weird, and then that's when you just start hyper ganking. Just find a lane, you choose them. If someone's behind, you help them out, and that's really where the audible is called. If one of the lanes is being overextended or is overcommitting, you want to be there to back them up. If you feel that the enemy is going to go for a gank, be ready for that counter gank and just be ridiculous the entire time effectively. And then yeah, as you can see, blue buff is already back up, so you wouldn't want to like mess around with this too much on that timing. So you have until about 7 minutes 30 seconds to start backing on that one, and then that's when you go for the Dreadnought. And I think the thing is that on the blue buff like this, you need to back and then you can just run it into the Dreadnought lane. So as you can see, like if you do that, it's going to take longer. And it can also depend on the side that your Ludicolo is, because let's say we didn't waste our time just non-killing that the Gengar or the Haunter right there. So we will be showing up for like good enough time on Dreadnought, but at that point it could already be like a 5v5 or 5v4 down here, and you need to be down here. So that's when the jungle theory gets a bit more interesting. If you have your blue buff on the top side, you don't go for it. You get a later second clear, that still gets you your level 8 by the time Dreadnought spawns, and then you're just going to be out there providing a lot of pressure, providing a lot of KOs, getting all your other lanes ahead. But if the blue buff is on your bottom side, then that's when you want to rush for that next blue buff, and then you're going to be 8 by the time Dreadnought spawns, and that's going to get you ahead, and then that's when you use your discharge to win the fight, secure Dreadnought, GG easy from there. However, another thing you can do is that after the Vespiquen fight, you can just kind of stay around and then like keep a lane camped, but also just kind of keep going for the Corefish around here. So what you do is you go for your gank, you clear out Corefish, maybe you run to the enemy jungle. You're Zeraora, you just 1v1 them. So something like this happens. And yeah, everything's going to be different because like Haunter's actually been in lane and like stealing farm and stuff, so you would be like equal level or maybe ahead depending on how the game's going. So you do that. By the time you go for a Corefish, you're here to back up another lane. Maybe they're overextended. That could also lead to some weird stuff for second Vespiquen. Well, actually not second Vespiquen yet. So then you like just kind of patrol the map. Now the game belongs to you about until here. Everything on the left side of the map is yours. Then you get the second red and blue buffs, so you are dropping a little bit of experience timing, but you're making up for that by getting your team ahead, potentially more kills, potentially more leech experience from like other Pokemon and stuff. So that makes it worth, and then you go for the jungle clear, and then you're there for the 720 Vespiquen into Dreadnought, and the rest of the game kind of plays itself. Like after that, it's just mechanics. So if you have good game sense, you now have a fed Zeraora, and there's nothing you can't do. And then really the only other thing is how Spark works. So if you use an auto attack while sparking, you go invisible like that and then you jump onto the target. Now there can be a little weirdness with Spark if you catch it like in between auto attacks. So if your auto attack isn't up and you're mashing Spark, you might miss it. Now it's kind of hard to do, but sometimes you drop it. So make sure you give yourself like a little bit of time after an auto attack. Go try to time this like immediately after an auto attack to see, yeah, like you can miss it like that. But even at the end of Spark, it looks like they've made it to where there's a chance you can still catch that Spark jump and you're going to be good to go. With ping and just in-game latency, like not in the practice tool, maybe you miss it. But overall, like, yeah, you spark, you auto attack, you spark, you auto attack, you spark, you auto attack. Sometimes you just like mash it, just mega spam it, and then you're bouncing all over people. As for the controls, make sure you have lowest remaining hit point value, and then you want to set it to melee in pursuit distance. So it's going to make it to where you can get your Spark onto the back line, and then like as one of their squishies, Pikachu, Ninetales, maybe Cinderace or something is just getting chipped down by your discharge, you Spark onto them on the auto-targeting, then you're going to be really strong that way. And I did want to talk about Lane Zeraora for a bit, because Zeraora just being the best character in the game means it is an S-tier laner by default. It doesn't have the same tools as some Pokemon, but it's still the same idea. Just treat the entire laning phase like a gank. You go in, you get the knockup, you have your ally support you, and then you're just punching them under their goal until they die. Like, it's just strong. It just works. Once again, it's one of those things where the more game sense you have, the more time you get on Zeraora just understanding limits, and the more you just know how to play either lane or jungle or just play the game, the more you're going to be rewarded on the Zeraora. Also, lane kind of opens up some cheekiness with that discharge, or not with the discharge, with the Volt Switch. I still don't think it makes Volt Switch viable, and it can be super troll if you're like, yo, I'm gonna go back and grab like a third of my health real quick, and then you miss the timing window for it. It's effectively like a free citrus berry every 8 seconds if you utilize it in that way, kind of. But even though it's like cheesy and cheeky, maybe some people master it, maybe some people incorporate it into their playstyle. Like, how sick would that be if you Volt Switch into a bush, recall, come back, and then like discharge on top of someone who wasn't expecting it? It can lead to some LCS highlight moments, let me get some karma on Reddit, but I don't know if it's like giga viable in the actual games, but still like something fun to consider, or just run Spark Discharge because it is the best, and Lane Zeraora definitely viable. If you're doing Lane Zeraora, you can do like a role swap where Lucario's in the jungle, and Jungle Lucario is also nasty. Get Jungle Lucario level 5 on that extreme speed gank, Zeraora level 4 in lane on Vespiquen, boom, that's still a double kill or a triple kill. And I think that's going to be it on the Zeraora. Yeah, I didn't really mention that if the opponent is paralyzed from your auto attacks, the discharge pulls them in. I don't think you need to worry about that stuff. Zeraora is just busted, and that's kind of the thing about it. One of my favorite philosophies is from LS of League of Legends when he talks about piloting champions. And if you think about it in that regard, like, it unlocks a lot of different ideas on how you play characters inside of video games, how you play characters inside of MOBAs, and when you look at Zeraora, this is the ultimate mech to pilot. That what you want is you want to have big brain game sense, you use that to get ahead, you use that to just kind of get good target selection, and just play the game properly, and then when you're ahead, you have the most unstoppable force. And there's not really too much nuance. It's not like, oh man, I need to manage extreme speed resets inside of fights and get the bone rush and then get the perfect unite move for all the secures and stuff. No, the way that Zeraora plays is it gets to jump into someone. It's like it sparks, and then the auto attack puts you on the right target, and then you use discharge, which is a pretty decent AoE that does absurd amounts of damage, gives you a life-saving shield, and then you just get to beat up on people. So really the highest skill cap element of using Zeraora is going to be on that passive, but then when you get like the full stat passive, you're just the most damaging Pokemon, and then you're also getting like shields and heals off your auto attacks, or buddy barrier shields, or ally shields and heals and support. So I mean, like, the way I talk about Zeraora is that it effectively gets to 1v3, so if you have any amount of allies multiplying that power with you, you become truly unstoppable. You don't really need too much managing around like Dreadnought secures and stuff. Like, sometimes the game gets ugly, you just need to press the B button, like just mash it on Dreadnought and Zapdos to pray for a steal or a secure. But for the most part, Zeraora is going to win the fight so handily that you're going to be uncontested in objectives. You win the objective fight, you stay ahead, GG easy. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.